Good morning, everybody. This is a very important session. This county is at a critical inflection point. Are we going to go left or are we going to go right as far as the direction of the county? And the Board of County Commissioners viewed this inflection point about 2 years ago. In February of 2024, the Board of County Commissioners held a planning and development workshop. And they said, we have to do things better. We have to grow in a smart direction, not in a sprawl direction. And at that time, they appointed me as the Planning and Development and Economic Growth Director, and I'm on the mission to carry out board policy. So what does conservation look like? You know, I'm an urban planner. I also have a degree in environmental sciences, and I have a background in economics. And it covers a lot of things. It's just not about open space, environmental quality, and preserving our tree canopy, agricultural lands. It's about historic places and community character, because this county and this city have been growing on their heritage, and the lifestyle is enduring throughout generations. We're also focused on low ad valorem tax rates. Our property taxes are historically lower than the balance of the region. We want to keep it there, and how do we go about that? We're also want to be a balanced community. We don't want to be just a bunch of bedrooms and cul-de-sacs. We want to have a vitality where jobs come in. What's the benefit of jobs? You know, as a kid, I grew up in New Jersey. You can hear from the accent. I've been living in Florida now for 23 years, but I just learned how to say y'all. But anyway, I grew up in a bedroom community, growing area. People were moving out in the suburbs. And the city I lived in, they built 3 high schools. They built parks. They built gathering areas and public facilities. 40 years later, I'm using 40 because of Advent Health, they were selling, surplusing. The ad valorem tax rate hit the ceiling. I mean, it was unbelievable. Highest taxes in the country, in this region of the country. And that's because they had no jobs. Okay, people come and go, life changes, life events, life cycles. But if you have jobs, they stay here. And people have to live here. And people have to shop here. And that's why we need to be balanced. And that's the quality of life that we're all focused on today. Now, this is a Keith Wiley map. I just always admire him. He's a very progressive, articulate individual. So I'm not going to get involved in, you know, a discussion of natural resources, because that's been covered. But the county is the tale of many cities. We have cultural pockets. I tell Commissioner Oakley, when I go to Dade City and leave West Pasco, I feel like I'm in a different country sometimes. We have a unique, diversified heritage here in the county. And our objective through our planning process is to conserve and preserve 30% of this county is open space. It's very important to us. So a lot of people are moving into the county. A lot of people that have lived here for many years, maybe multi-generational, they're concerned because they don't understand the big picture, what's going on. You know, so we have to take a 10,000-foot look and be comfortable that we have good planning in place. We have roads coming in, open space, stormwater management, all the things that we are very concerned about today. And it's happening right now. So there's a lot of things that planning can do to conserve. One of the things is very important in our rural, suburban, rural areas. Traditionally, we had ranches. We had people coming in and buying 5 and 10 acre parcels. But the development pressure today is acute because the land prices are so high in our urban service corridors. So one concept that's been used successfully in other parts of the country, not here in Pasco yet, is a conservation subdivision. Rather than just platting out properties according to the zone district, you cluster the development down. The most key here is your gross density is maintained as it was if you platted everything out. But the actual living area, the urban or the development impact area is concentrated and clustered. This brings down land costs, makes homes more affordable. And the conservation subdivision idea is to, let's say you got 100 acres and it's a 1 home an acre development. You want to keep 50 acres or 50% of the property as permanent open space. So along our rural road corridors, you don't see the development. What do you see? You see rural, you see conserve, you see whether it be cattle, whether it be agritourism. And that is what conservation subdivisions are all about. So how do we get there? That requires incentivization. So the county is now rewriting our entire comprehensive plan, and probably I'd say March, April, the board will adopt the new plan, and we're going to rewrite our entire land development code, and we're going to institute incentives, giving bonuses, giving concessions to development to save our land, because saving our land is critical. And if you make a mistake in development, you live with it forever, and that's a problem that we don't want to have here. And this is just another illustration of how it works out. You have on your traditional sprawl versus your cluster development, and it's preferable. And we are looking at the northeast part of our county and down here in the Zephyr Hills area where we have a rural heritage, trying to come up with innovative ideas so we have outcomes that are consistent with the goals and objectives of our unique county. So I just wanted to point out, I visit areas of the country all the time. When I travel now as an old guy, I don't go to the Caribbean. I don't go running in Europe. I go throughout the United States. And I take pictures of what I see. And I try to bring back, how can we make that Pasco or Zephyr Hills related? And one of the things I'm seeing across the country is cottage development when we talk about clustering. So these cottage developments, they create green spaces in the middle. The one on the right is high density. The one on the left is more rural, where people can be in affordable homes and they can engage with their neighbors, but also have the privacy in a detached house and home. So it's traditional. And these things are really successful. They sell out like crazy because it's unique, it's desirable. And if you notice, they all have porches. And you know, when you think about Americana, classic America, it's the porch, it's your neighbors, it's the engagement, it's the walkability. And that's the type of things that we're trying to introduce in development here in the county. And so traditionally we've had MPUDs. Originally we had what's called Euclidean zoning, where it's a 1 acre zone, it's a half acre zone. You have to have certain setbacks, side yards, and those type of things. And then we started looking at, as a county, planning as holistically. And what happened with that? Well, we had these huge ranches that were turned over for development, and all they were a bunch of Euclidean areas. We had apartments, we had townhouses, we had single-family homes, we had strip commercial. But one thing that came out of it that was a positive is we preserved open space, and we started creating walkability and connectivity. This is Starkey Ranch, which received a Urban Land Institute award back in 2019 for design. And is, as you can see, a very dense, a very large, substantial development with all of the whistles and bells that you would expect in a suburban area. But look at all that open space. Not only the environmentally sensitive corridors, but also active recreation where people can go and gather. And I live in the area, and I occasionally go and walk around Cunningham Park, and the entire community comes together. I see people there that I haven't seen in months, and families are there, walkers are there, wildlife watchers are there, and it connects into the J.B. Starkey Park, and it's a highly successful development, and people love living there. Two Rivers, which is our newer development down in near State Road 56 and 301, is substantially established as a cluster development with permanent open space. And down on the southern end, along a TICO easement, we're creating a multi-purpose path system that comes up from Hillsborough into the county and allows connectivity. And up on the right-hand side is Keith's New District Park, which we're really excited about. And I think we're going to also get a surf park up there. Yeah, we're not, that's a private entity, but there's a technology that was developed in Australia about creating waves. And what they do is they have like a big plunger in the middle, and then they actually, the floor of the basin or the artificial lake has ripples in it and creates different types of waves. So if you if you ever watched The Endless Summer in 1968, I was a kid then, or the redo in 2002 or three, you could go surf the perfect wave there. And then so we went from suburban, now we're getting into urban, and it's all near and dear because it's nearby Zephyr Hills. So Legacy of Wiregrass, this huge project evolved after 3 years of negotiation. And what we tried to do is we started going into MPUDs and working with developers to refine those plans that were approved years ago, but they're not really contemporary. They're not really in the direction that the county wants to go. So here, Wiregrass is owned by the Porter family. Very rare because they're not flippers. They're engaged. They hold property. They create value through good urban design. And they take the long view, but they're making more money doing that. And we discussed with them creating a town center, not just a bunch of shopping centers and cars, but how to create places, because Pasco needs places. We have Zephyr Hills, we have Newport Richey, we have Dade City, but 90% of the county is unincorporated, and we don't have a sense of community. We know where we have a sense of where our subdivision is, but we don't know our neighbors. I mean, it's unbelievable how when I lived in New York City and moved here in 2002, I lived in New York for 12 years. I knew everybody, within a 6-block area. I knew the guy at the deli store, the doorman, all those things. Here, I get in the car, I go to work, I get out of the car, and I don't know my neighbors. And we wanted to create a place where people gather and interact, entertainment. I'm sick of going to Hillsborough or Tampa for a good meal. I want to be here in Pasco. So the board got involved with the developer and we created this. This development will be breaking ground very shortly. It's an urbanized mixed use, but what do you see around it? Open space. We took that sprawly type of land consuming design, we concentrated it. So there are apartments here. Yes, there are apartments, but they don't look like the typical barracks. There's integrated parking, there's offices, there's retail, and just to the north of it is Orlando Health which is going to be a sprawling life sciences complex and healthcare complex. So people can walk to work, people can engage and live there. And what's the value of this mixed use? Okay, we're doing vertically integrated mixed use. Shopping on the bottom, residents above. Well, the merchants. How do we support merchants to bring unique businesses into our county? There's people living there, so they're going to go get a bite to eat at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night. There's workers there that are going to go grab a lunch, or I'm going home and I want to pick up something before I get home. And there's activity on the weekend. So there's a pedestrian corridor going through there, hundreds of feet wide, with plantings and gathering areas and civic spaces. And this is going to be probably one of the most notable developments in our entire region. This is as good as anything coming out of Tampa, whether it be Midtown or the waterfront. So stay tuned, and hopefully you'll be shopping and enjoying that area shortly. Now, this is Avalon Park. It's right to the west of Zephyr Hills. So the Avalon Park developer had an MPUD that was approved probably about 15 years ago. And it was just the old conventional thing. And they're good developers, they're good people, but there was no innovation. It was, townhouse area, apartment area, and whatnot. So we went to them and said, hey, look, why don't we do a mixed-use, vertically integrated development? So here, this is the first building. There's going to be 7 urban blocks here, 7. There's commercial office all on the bottom floor, and there's residence on top. And what I'm finding is a lot of the shop owners are living right above the store. You haven't seen that since the 1930s and 40s. It's coming back. America is coming home. And this is right in your back door. And this is vertical mixed use Pasco style. And, there's great restaurants there now, but it's, we only have 1 block going. But in about another 5 years, it's going to be something to be visited and cherished. And this is Spiros, another fantastic project. As we all know, Moffett has bought 776 acres in Pasco County. over at Ridge Road in the Suncoast, which is our major regional commuting corridor. And this project has two objectives: to provide our regional population and also people that want to travel here with the best possible cancer care. And the survival rates at Spiros are the best in the country for all different types of major cancers. And Dr. Hu, the president of Spiros, or Moffitt Cancer and Research Center, his objective is to cure most types of major cancer in 10 years. So not only are we conserving space and land, we're conserving people's longevity and our community's health. And here's one of the projects that I visited recently. I was up in June up in New England. It was really chilly up there, by the way. But I visited a place called Mashpee Commons. I drove out to Cape Cod. It was an old shopping center, very similar to where you see Winn-Dixie's and things around here, and they basically became obsolete. And a developer came in and they demolished everything and they rebuilt this thing. So from the ground up, this is a redevelopment project. And it's built on what's called a transect. Out on the fringes is conservation, open space. And as you go towards that purple center, that's your urbanized area. And this is what the result was. Basically vertically integrated mixed use. Those are offices above restaurants and shops, walkability. I went there on a Wednesday. The place was packed, and it was before tourist season started. So I was pretty impressed. And the merchants do well there year round, not just during the summer season when people visit the Cape. And another project, I'm all over the country. I'm down in Kentucky. I drove by and I saw the home of Muhammad Ali and then the Louisville Slugger and all that. And I love Kentucky. Beautiful country, great people. But there's not a lot going on if you move outside the urban areas. So a developer with vision that looks like the Porter family in Wiregrass, they bought this huge piece of property and they built what's called a new town from scratch. There were horses and things, and now there's people and there's urbanized development. But what caught me was this is a 30-year project with the same family engaged from day one, and they produce stuff like this. So on the right-hand side is a home that was on sale on the market last year for $2.5 million. There is no vacancies. There's no homes for sale in this development because people want to live here. Why do they want to live here? For walkability, for socialization, for amenities. I mean, that's what the 15-minute city is all about. I can do almost everything that I have to do in my daily life 15 minutes from my front door. I can take my kids to school. I can get medical attention. I can go shopping. I can do social events. I can collaborate with my government. And this is the type of development that inures that. And they use all different types of materials. And I like this because the architecture was kind of a blend of Midwest and in the South. So you can see the house on the right is very Southern looking, and then you have more of a Midwest appeal. And in our comp plan, we have a conservation element. Keith Wiley and his fantastic staff, they're great partners. We've built this chapter in our new comp plan. It covers a lot of things. And I'm not going to, I don't want to read all the bullets because we're going to be short on time and we have got a great keynote speaker coming up. But, we're protecting our natural environment, our eco corridors, agricultural land, wetlands, surface water protection, groundwater, and the freshwater estuarine and marine habitat management. And more importantly, also air quality. What do trees do? We talked about trees. They inure value to a community. They basically provide shade and cut down on your expenses on cooling and heating, but it also creates higher level of air quality. And we also have something cooking right now. We have a tree preservation effort now in Pasco County as well as Zephyr Hills. Most recently in July of 25, the board adopted a new fee schedule. You cut down important trees, the developers have to pay us some money or provide some mitigation. And we hadn't upped our tree mitigation fees for 15 years. So we just kind of adjusted it for inflation, but we stipulated the type of trees that we need to preserve here in the county. And by probably March of 2026, we're going to be presenting a tree protection ordinance to Pasco County with the objective of preserving 20% of our mature canopy here in the county. Right now, developers come in, they clear cut everything because they just pencil out the tree mitigation fees as the price of doing business. It's cheaper not to preserve trees. So we want to be economically sensitive. We want to support the business community, but we also have to balance that with preserving our heritage, our open space, and our tree canopy. Now, we have $11 million put aside for new trees and new plants. And I had a meeting with 3 directors probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Our facilities person, Keith, was there from Parks and Rec, and also Jason Mickle, our public works supervisor. So we're developing a plan to beautify all our road corridors. Our roads need some help. I mean, when you come into Zephyr Hills and you're coming down County Road 52, you go from modern suburban, then you get into the old suburban, and then bingo, you're in the middle of Zephyr Hills. You see lighting fixtures, plants, islands, on-street parking to calm the parking down. That's important to us because that defines us. We have gateways in and out of the county that need work, and we want to beautify those so people are proud to live here and are also excited about coming here, spending their money, and participating in our community. And we want to feel good about where we live. And we're in the car a lot, so it should look good. So we're working on that right now. Keith does a great job cost effectively developing park areas and maintaining parks, but he doesn't have enough money, and we're going to hopefully get him some money shortly. So that's what we're working on. Now, preserving quality of life. This chart I've shown here before in this chamber to the city council. Pasco County, most people commute out of this county. They don't work here in the county. So they're on their tails driving down to Tampa or over to Clearwater or wherever it may be. And the average resident is losing almost 2 hours of their life, 5 days a week. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not spending time with their family. So how best can we address that and conserve their time and their peace of mind and their health? That's getting them out of the car and getting jobs here in the county. So you see Hillsborough, which is overweighted to jobs because they've been pushing the population up here because we're more affordable. They've got a more jobs ratio than the rest of the region to housing. So they're getting traffic too because of not having a balanced policy. We're all the way up on the left. So we want to get down in the middle around Pinellas where we kind of got one household and one job. That's our goal and objective. We're never going to achieve it, but we're directionally moving in that. Now, the other day, I went out with our Jobs and Economic Opportunity Committee. That's the oversight for the Penny for Pasco. The board provides us with money for economic development. So of the Penny for Pasco, it's a big, big pie. The county gets 45% of that. Others go to the law enforcement or the school system. And my little organization gets 20% of the 45, and I think Keith does also. And so we have this Citizen Oversight Committee, and every year we travel around Pasco County. So we can't travel around the whole county, but we traveled around a substantial portion, basically from I-75 and 52 all the way over to the Sun Coast and Ridge Road. And we passed by 35 million square feet of development that's approved and under construction or completed, and they're being occupied here. That is mind-boggling. What's the size of Cincinnati? 4.5 million square feet. And I passed by 35 million square feet with a 4-hour truck bus ride. In the county right now, this is land that's designed and earmarked for development, employment development. 78 million square feet. These are properties that have attorneys and engineers or they got approvals. That is over 110,000 new jobs. And why I said we're at an important inflection point, this county will be in excess of 1 million population in the next 25 years. Probably, depending on the economic cycles, it could happen earlier. And we are right now in the top 3 fastest growing counties in the United States. So I view that as a tremendous responsibility, but also a challenge to be successful here and balance our community. And lastly, economics. I love economics. So we had clustering, we had preserving open space. What does this do to us to conserve our fiscal strength? And that good land development, smart design, inures a community much more revenue. Now, there's a group called Urban 3. They're a North Carolina consultancy. They've been around the entire country. And what they've done is they've actually assessed different type of land use patterns with revenue generation to government. And they found that the clustering style development cuts down on your infrastructure costs, your infrastructure maintenance. When you concentrate development to some extent, the sheriff doesn't have to drive all over the county. I mean, he basically can concentrate his resources, and it comes out to the dollar, and the dollar is saved with smart development. And this chart, I love this chart. If you look at this chart, and I guess you can, I wish you could, but you could get a copy of this presentation if you want to approach me later, and I'll email it to you. It shows for 1 acre how much revenue is generated to a county or a city based on the land use. And if you notice in the middle there's Walmart. Walmart, everybody says, well, I want Walmart here. They're going to pay taxes. They're a low per acre. They're a very low tax generator. The highest generation is having that mixed use development, that wiregrass development per acre. It knocks the ball out of the park. So that's why we have to be more thoughtful regarding land development, not only to conserve space and lifestyle and our tradition and heritage, but also our dollars. Because when you have sprawl, you lose land, you lose money, and there's no happy ending there. And that's my presentation. I just wanted to say one thing. I got a couple minutes. I always like fun facts. So I was looking at demographics the other day, and something stuck out at me that was so notable, but so consistent with defining who we are. We are a hardworking, family-driven community. And from 2020 to 2024, the rest of the country, 0 to 4 years old, that age cohort, people stopped having kids. COVID said, I'm not bringing kids in this world. I'm concerned. There are issues. Here in Pasco County, 0 to 4 years old, we grew by 3.5% because people are confident in us, our future. They want to be here. They want to have a stake in our future, and they're growing their families. And that's what Pasco is all about.